Men of Reddit, what do you wish was as acceptable for you to do as it is for women? Maddie Old Spice said, complimenting people. Honestly, I get it. Often when guys compliment women in particular, it can be for ulterior motives, but sometimes I just want to say that someone's hair is pretty today without it being perceived as flirty. Madalena said, I've gotten a handful of genuine, non-flirty compliments from men I didn't know over the years, and I remember every one because it was so refreshing. They all had a couple things in common, so here's how to do it. Compliment her on something she chose herself, like their outfit or hairstyle, rather than a physical feature. Make the compliment kind of neutral and don't tie it into attractiveness. Instead of saying your hair is pretty, say it looks cool, or just that you like it. End it there. If it's a stranger and you came up to her just to give her a compliment, say have a good day and literally walk away. Don't put any pressure on her to continue the conversation or even respond. Lip79 said, one time I was working at a club years ago and was in charge of the gate into VIP. Carmen Electra was there that night, and was coming back from the bathroom. I had noticed her shoes when she was heading out of VIP. They were those Louboutin red-soled shoes that were super expensive. As she walks up to me, I said, I love your shoes. She gave me a big smile and said, thank you. And then rubbed my shoulder with her hand as she walked past. Only thing that sucked was my buddies gave me the pics or didn't happen ribbing LOL. Winnie Hugs said, women here, just to say we love compliments, it really just depends on what you're complimenting. Case in point, I was at a store having a refund processed, and since I had just come from gym I was in figure hugging tights and a t-shirt. A man walks in and said to me, oh wow, I love your clothes, they're so colorful. This was a great compliment, and I really appreciated it. Especially as they were very bright and colorful. He then went on to say, yes, they hug your figure in all the right places and your body looks really great. And then I went from feeling good to feeling awful, and I left without my refund, because I just wanted to get the fuck out of there. So if you want to compliment a woman's hair, for example, just say I really like the way you've done your hair today, and then leave it at that. Simple. Threempress said, yes. Just don't make it weirdly flirty or sexual. Which really isn't that hard. Also make it something said in passing and don't pin the person down for conversation with the compliment. I consider a compliment creepy when it becomes overtly sexual and we are not in that kind of relationship. I.e. not dating or in some stage of that. Usually with these the compliments do not feel like genuine compliments but rather an attempt to bring to my attention that I am being watched in a sexual way by that person. When the person uses the compliment to either startle or trap me in a conversation. If someone gives me a compliment and I can easily say thank you and walk away, that's great. A lot of times though people will try to use it as a way to be like, oh, I said something nice so now you owe me your attention and don't let you move on. Russet Wolf said, as a woman, one of my favorite compliments came from a man. I was walking down a flight of stairs and he was walking up. He saw me, his face lit up and he said, I really like your coat. I smiled, said thank you, and neither of us slowed down. We kept walking, and my day was made. No idea who he was. It just seemed so genuine and I agree that my coat is great. I felt so good. I think the thing is to focus on the specific thing to compliment that isn't a body part, and isn't sexualizing. Your legs look great isn't good. Your shorts are hot isn't good. I love your hair shirt makeup is fine. I love your hair shirt makeup. It really brings out your eyes is on the edge there definitely can be flirty. Butter Buddha said, haha. Yeah, the only time I feel like I 100% pulled that off was just as you described. I was walking past random lady in a hotel lobby and her perfume smelled amazeballs, and I said something to that effect as we passed each other. Neither of us even slowed down but she giggled and said thank you, and 10 feet later she spun around and told me whatever the hell it was called. IDR the name but she had the biggest smile and I felt like a champ. I still don't know how to do that not in passing, and have kept my mouth shut from various other compliments because I couldn't figure out how to be non-flirty or creepy sounding. Clone 1327 said, I work with kids, mostly with special needs, as a bus monitor. Most parents are cool, but I've had a few give me dirty looks, and rush to get their kids off the bus, rather than let me help them down. I try not to show it, but that shit fucking hurts. I would never do anything to harm any of my kids. Most of my kids love me once they get used to me and realize that while I look big and scary, I'm basically a teddy bear. Sometimes I'll see one of my students outside of school, and I get so excited to see them, but I have to stop myself from going and saying hi because I'm afraid of how their parents might react. Blamethapunk said, I used to be a swimming instructor in the early zeros, and it was just starting to get like that back then. I'm a big guy, beard and tattoos, but one class with me and I was every kid's favorite instructor. There were a couple helicopter moms that would find fault in anything I did, of course, but I only had a few that went there with it. My brother was in school to be a teacher at the time and ended up dropping out because there was a rash of big news reports of kids accusing Malay teachers of inappropriate conduct. And even though all the allegations turned out to be false, those guys never worked with kids again. One brat who didn't like their grade was enough to put a permanent stigma on a Malay teacher. Tinkerman said. Also the one where a guy was sitting on a bench waiting for his wife to come out of the store. A woman came and walks away with his baby in the stroller. He tried to stop her, but the crazy bitch screamed he was trying to take her baby. And people nearby sided with her and tried to restrain the father. If his wife hadn't come out then, the woman would have run away with his baby. That was a horrifying read. Edit, more words, to be clear. Just some a-hole said. Christ, I couldn't even take my own kid to the park down the road without accusatory glances, stares, or flat-out accusations. Once had some woman pull my son aside and ask him if I was actually his father. And if I just let him play and sat back on the park bench and watched. Wolf. Oh, and God help me if I wanted to bring a camera, this was before camera phones, and take pictures. Twice someone called the police. Emerald Keith said. After a decade plus living in a big city, my wife and I moved to the suburbs since we've got a kid on the way. The biggest culture shock is how I'm treated by mothers in public. More than once I've been out running errands, see a kid doing something objectively adorable in a store, smile about it to myself, and then caught the glare of a mom staring daggers at me like I'm a total boss. It is so fucking weird. My wife and I had to go to a small toy store last week on the way to our nephew's day party, and she was so weirded out about why I was absolutely glued to her side the whole time we were in there. She said she had to go to the bathroom real quick and I asked if it could wait. Pro tip, never ask an 8-month pregnant woman if it can wait, and she exclaimed, what the fuck is going on? Aminer14 said. As a man that does work with kids. Yeah. I wish it were more accepted. On the one hand, I'm always in demand because not a lot of men want to work with kids on juvenile supervision. On the other hand, I can only work with so many kids, and there's so many more that need to see positive Malay role models. And by that I mean men that don't fall into the typical toxic masculinity bullshit. But not being hyper-masculine just seems to worry parents more because latent homophobia is a thing. JMH 1881 said. Just being able to experiment with the way you look, dress. When I look around at women my age, I'm a edge freshman, I see them dress in so many different styles and all of them are appreciated and no one gives a second glance, unless it's like really extreme body modification or something really out there. But men's fashion is just so bland, almost every guy dresses the same, and if you dress differently you either get judged or people make heavy assumptions about you. Even trying to find clothes in different styles is so hard. Every store is jeans, graphic tees, hoodies and shorts. Blah. JMH 1881 said. Yeah, it's unfortunate how many things are marketed towards women and not men. I like bracelets, but it's near impossible finding any that aren't marketed towards women. I also noticed this when dorm shopping for college. I literally found maybe 2 examples of a guy's dorm online, every magazine and store markers that stuff towards girls. And when I went shopping, most stuff was in feminine colors and patterns. Basically the only masculine stuff you could find was black, gray and white, sometimes navy. No dark or jewel tones, no navies, all light pastel and pink stuff. So weird. IDKY, there's so many things that society just decided was for girls only. Really Big Alligator said. Play with my son at the park. Or even be at the park with my son. I've had non-stop glares from Karens, and overall treated like I'm some type of predator. I'm just trying to take my little kiddo out for some fun, as he loves the slide to no end. Yet, I've had women call their kids to their sides, round them up and leave, and given the stare down endlessly. On one occasion, I was even interrogated by one of the mothers. I honestly couldn't believe how ridiculous it was. Honestly, it breaks my heart how just taking my son to the park to play has an endless sea of harassment bundled up into it. One of the Maliners said, "As a Mali nurse, I haven't had too many issues so far with sexism other than not being able to see a vaginal birth during the maternity rotations. It sucked, but I understood and respected the mother's wish for privacy. I sometimes get nervous when I have all-female patients, and have learned to get someone to help me during bathing because I don't want to be accused of sexual harassment. Extra work, but you gotta do what you gotta do." Pluvio Strider said, "Being able to smile, comment and be friendly towards kids without looking like a predator or being thought of a pedo. I've got strong paternal instincts, and when I used to do kids summer camp I noticed children were very drawn by my paternal presence. I even had an autistic boy come play with me and sit in my lap without having even met the boy in my life. It kills me to have this trait and need to be careful. At the same time, I understand if I were a father of kids I would have the same issues. The world isn't without its monsters, but honestly that's both men and women. I don't have an answer, to be honest. We don't live in a perfect world, but I can hope for one." Pluvio Strider said, "Honestly, I think men complimenting each other and others has fallen out of practice. It certainly had with me, but I see it trending culturally as well. We should all be appraised. But I understand you, it's honestly a shame because kids flourish under good compliments and recognition. But to be even gain the suspicion of a predator even for a moment can devastate your life forever. I had a friend whose life was destroyed by an accusation that was proven wrong in court. His entire education, references and career was destroyed. It's not worth the risk, even though it deprives generations of kids and men third-party acclaim that's sorely needed. It's not worth it at all." Lineman77 said, "I personally don't think men consider this as gay when hugging each other. None of my close friends and I have any qualms about hugging when we see each other. I think it more has to do that guys are less friendly to those we just see as acquaintances. Overgeneralization here, but just limited to the experiences I observe from the women in my life. They have way more besties than guys, and are way friendlier to people they know very casually." Generic eschatologist said, "Men may manifest mental illness differently than women because of societal. I've noticed women are more likely to have a mental illness explanation ruled out once it's considered. Men are more likely to not have a mental illness explanation considered in the first place. Anger, impulsivity, and insecurity are so often seen as men's traits that clinical disorders are often written off as boys being boys or a disciple problem." Stayathamedidov6 said, "That's too bad. People are generally encouraging and impressed I'm able to keep everything together and give me praise for it. I do have 7 kids though. My neighbor who is a workaholic and in his 50s asked if it bothered me and I said, no, it allows me more time with my kids." He reflected for a second and said he missed out on his daughter's childhood because he was working too much. That's the only negative comment I can think of to my face, and he didn't mean to be insulting. Las Ruas said, "I'm really sorry and sad to hear that this has been your experience. One of the most attractive things to me about my man is that he's comfortable being vulnerable with me. He's a combat veteran and lives with PTSD. There have been times where I've literally had to wrap him in a blanket and just hold him like a child. This does not make me think that he's any less of a man. On the contrary, I think it's an unbelievable compliment to me that he feels so safe and secure with me to let me see him like that. I can't imagine being in a relationship with someone who couldn't show me their real selves. I hope so much that you meet someone who fully accepts your real self." I was commenting something similar in a different subreddit last week, but stuff like that, seeing your partner's vulnerability right the way through to things like having to physically help them use the bathroom during a bad stomach flu or something, that's the good stuff. That's the real intimacy right there. I hope you never settle for less. Hako111 said, "Wearing fun clothes. My fiancé has shorts of various lengths, tops and countless cuts from modern to ones that are very Greco-Roman inspired, tons of dangly jewelry, all sorts of different shoe colors, etc. What do men get? Literally 3 different kinds of shirt, pants that are generally boringly straight cut, black shoes, and shorts that must be within 2 inches of the knee because God forbid you wear shorts instead of baggy capris walking around looking like Adam Sandler's goofy ass. I am getting tired of having to shorten the legs on any shorts I buy. Similar Dream 9731 said, LOL, fair enough. I'm fine with amending my statement to angry or horny. I guess a better way to say this is typically men are frowned upon when they are sad, depressed, scared, nervous, shy, upset, or really emotional in any capacity besides the masculine emotions such as anger. As kids, if we're sad we typically get told to get over it. If you're scared, I'll just be brave. Real men don't get scared. Oh, did I hurt your feelings? Typically was a mock or insult in school, and how did the kid usually respond? Either anger, the masculine response, or say yes or run away, the feminine response. I know I'm generalizing a lot here and times change, and it's not that cut and dry, but it's been an argument I've witnessed and been a part of to this day where a guy's emotions are assumed to not be a part of the equation. The guy is then assumed gay for having feelings, and I've legitimately heard people say straight men don't show emotion like that in response to a guy getting ridiculed to the point of crying. https://www.thewell.com/editorial/men's-emotional-health kinda talks about that bit a little bit. There's a lot of articles out there. Etsy07 said, I've never been able to find a dress that doesn't look obviously too much, but I'm a straight 6'2" athletic-looking guy who's been wearing skirts for about 4 years. Just do it. Find ones that fit your style and don't look too misleadingly overt. I've found that longer flowing skirts down to my ankles, either plain dark colors and darker patterns, look great on me. Currently wearing a black skirt now, been shopping all day, great for summer weather. Disarm33 said, I know it's way easier said than done, but social norms are changed when people actively defy them and risk judgment. For example, in the Victorian era women were not supposed to ride bikes and were harshly criticized for it. Yet some women still did it despite all that, and now the whole idea of it being improper for women to ride bikes is ludicrous. At my mom's high school, girls were not allowed to wear pants and were sent home if they did. So one day pretty much every girl wore pants to school. It's fucking hard, but sometimes you need to be the change you want to see. Dishonorably Count said, in college I traded phones for an hour with a girl and we compared dating app experiences. It blew her mind that I had one match per week, in a city full of colleges, if I was lucky. It blew my mind that during the first 10 minutes of having the app, I could get a match on 50% of the profiles I looked at. I get that women had bad experiences on dating apps, but I never felt more culture shock realizing matching was that easy. And it explained how jaded women seem to get on them if you're constantly dealing with attention and worse. Hell, I never understood the need to mute a dating app until then, since I'd get a couple notifications a day, maximum. Damacho said, my previous girlfriend I learned was a moderator on Cupid, and she assumed they all were women. Her inbox was constantly at 9,999, so there was no way of her reaching out to someone who messaged her. She only used it for 2 months before meeting me. She messaged me first. Kinda blew my mind. Days of messaging back and forth and I was still thinking there's no way this is real. We dated for 4 years, still care about each other when we broke up. Our interests were just too different. I'm back in the dating app game now and I know it's probably even more fucked now than before. It makes sense for apps like Bumble where women make the first move. But for fuck's sake, it really sucks. And say many women take advantage of it. Spoil me, I have these expectations of you, I'm spontaneous, ugh. We just want someone we can hug and spend time with. There's no advice to give men. You're fucked. Cross your fingers and make sure your profile appeals to the woman you want. Bodie Bill said, playing with kids and not be seen as or assumed to be a pedophile. When my now ex-wife would take our daughter to the park or a pool, no one would give her a second look, but when I did it, people were always watching. I was even stopped a few times taking her into the guys' change room at a pool because she was too young to be on her own. I also had a situation where I was taking her out of the mall crying because I wouldn't buy her a skirt and she refused to put her pants back on. She was about 4 years old. I was carrying her out in her panties while she was crying. I was stopped by security, then stopped by a husband and wife team, and again by the police as I was driving out of the parking lot. I can understand and even appreciate that there were people that were willing to get involved to protect a child, but my wife would never have been stopped in that situation. The scary thing is women kidnap kids too. Thanakalpa Revere said, I can't name any specific acts off the top of my head, But women seem to be blessed with a kind of, well, let's call it a mystical self-regard. They seem to hold their persons and feelings sacred, and demand that men do likewise, in a way that men could never get away with. If one of us gets upset, he's a man baby. If one of you does, she's unleashing the vital and primitive power of the moon and the tides. Anyway, yeah. I wish I could see myself as an incarnation of the goddess instead of just a pile of flesh slung inelegantly across a skeleton. Matt Thundercock said, getting the amount of attention they get in so many fields. A girl in my school accused my friend of hitting her in front of me. He didn't even touch her. She fabricated evidence such as bruises with makeup and took the guy to court. He never touched even one of her hairs, yet she won, and now my buddy is a felon. I have heard at least 3 different similar stories of guys who can't even kill a fly but got their expedient ruined for life. Matthew McConaughey got drugged and raped and no one talks about it. Nearly 99% of the bricklayers of the world are men, yet no one asks for equality for them. Joey Blogs said, coming forward with workplace sexual harassment. Early in my career I was harassed by a female superior. It was either passed off as just something she does with new people, joked about, or just covered up. It resulted in that superior holding a grudge after being rejected, making my work life miserable and turning people against me. Some even suggested I should be flattered. It's taken me years of kind support from my partner, counseling out of my own pocket, and a change of workplace to make peace with it. I feel like there's a double standard in some ways. I feel like if the genders were reversed then I would have gotten more support. Constant Hotel 579 said, emotional expression and vulnerability from the man to the woman. Raised as the typical way it goes, taught to tuck in your feelings and bear down to get work done. Take it on the chin. Brush off the noise. For whatever reason, some of the prettiest women I've ever been with always love that side of me, particularly in the pursuing phase. When they want to get with me. More than a couple times I've opened up and all of a sudden I'm not their type. Huge shout out to all the women who understand sometimes the world is a big bowl of poopy sauce and allow us to lay our head on your tummy while you rub it. I don't mind my shirt becoming your makeup tissue when you have breakdowns. I don't mind being the shoulder when you need to let it flow. Just be there for me the times I need a break from taking it on the chin and marching on. When I'm not sure I can make it. We're not robots.